Right, haven't done a video for a while, so we've got this Triumph Sprint 900 going out today. It's one of the really early carb models. This bike has a real family connection for its owner. He's been passed it down from his dad, who can sort of no longer ride it, I believe, but it's been sort of one owner, family owner from new. But when he got it from his dad, it was just in a tired state. It's a 1994 bike and it was showing a few of its years. It's still in absolutely cracking condition though. It's original all the way through, but it was a bit tired. It had had a drop on the right hand side, so it had a real scuff on this mirror edge here. The fairing on this little blister was scuffed all down this side. Engine casing here, so all that's been off and been repaired or restored however needed. We had a paint to do the full top fairing. Powder coat has done that engine casing, which has brought those back. The exhausts were just as they usually would be down here, really badly corroded. Not rusted through, the metal hadn't really worn through, but they were just brown, the colour had gone off them and they just looked pretty poor. So we've taken them off and had them Camcoat have done a ceramic coating on them for us, and they look, I don't know if the video can even pick it up, but genuinely they look like factory new. It's absolutely superb. One of these, originally they have a heat shield here. One was still okay, but the other one had disintegrated and couldn't be reattached, so rather than have one on and one off, we decided not to refit either. We'll carry on looking, seeing if we can get another one, but they seem to be absolutely sort of unicorn horn to try and find. Other than that, it's had new tyres, brakes have been serviced, we've had some other bits and pieces on the bike powder coated, this brake rod here, the centre stand under there. Now this is the bike that Simon came in and detail cleaned a few weeks ago, about a week ago, while it had no bodywork on. It made sense to get right underneath it, clean everything underneath that was really sort of dirty, satin, bits of dust and things like that. And just bring it back up to as shiny as we could possibly get it. It's obviously not been ridden for a good long while. Its tax disc is still on there from 2012, but generally it was nice. We've the original exhaust unfortunately had rotted through before we got it. The owner had fitted these Deltavics, but by God they do sound good. The seat the owners found was a little bit low for him. The original one, it had compacted a bit, so we've had that sent away. They've raised it by an inch on the padding and then recovered it in an original looking cover. Did a beautiful job of that as well. I'm really pleased with how the whole bike has come up. There's some bits we can't do too much with. It wasn't going to be an absolute concourse restoration. It was just make it look lovely and clean and repair any damage and get it back to roadworthy. Pair of new tyres on it. Carbs off, completely cleaned. Every fluid on the bike has been changed, which it would need. Starts nice and easy now. They have a lovely sound. Really do. Those Deltavics really help. They've got a nice waffle to them. It's off for its MOT today. One of the unique, well, interesting little bits about it when it came in, the speedometer had melted. See if I can show you this in the frame. Not uncommon with them apparently. You see where the 160 is? Where it had sat in the sun, they get overheated and it distorts the bezel, the display. So we managed to find a new old stock Speedo, not easy to get. So yeah, the mileage has to go back to 3.5, but we'll make sure that's documented on the paperwork. The other issue with the heat that it causes, here you can see where the centre fairing, this piece of plastic here is pretty much 20 years old, and when the sun gets on these when they're parked, it just makes the plastic distort a bit, so we can't get that gap to join up, but it's not terrible. It's not the end of the world. Nuts and bolts and fasteners still to have a little bit of a polish all the way around, but I do really like the bike. It sounds gorgeous. I've test ridden it a couple of times and it just makes you want to rev it. Not high revs, you just low trundling around, open the throttle up and hear that noise. They were a bit underrated, I think. Back in the 90s we just didn't even bat an eye at these bikes, but that colour that British Racing Green, it's gorgeous. The bike sounds wonderful, and they actually ride really well. They've got very good suspension from standard. Triumph were really pushing the boat out on them. We just didn't even see it happening. And now I really do hope that they're sort of coming into their own, that people are realising just how good they were. They've got a bit of an appeal to them now, and hopefully that appeal will just grow. But the owner is, as far as I'm aware, I'm pretty certain he's keeping this one. I don't think it'll ever be for sale. As I say, the family and sentimental connection on it, and the way we've restored it back to a good looking running bike, I think he's going to be very happy now to keep it and ride it. He said it may just sit in a room and be looked at quite a lot, which is fair enough. I'm sure it'll cover some miles. There were some bits that we couldn't, unfortunately, get on top of. Down here you can see where over years the lacquer has actually changed colour with some sort of oil vapour down here, possibly spill off from the carbs, I'm not sure. But as I say, there was a certain level where we thought we just don't want to go too much further than where we've got to. We've just made it into the bike it sort of wants to look like, just really good, really shiny, really clean, any damage repaired and ready to ride. It'll be a shame not to be test riding it again once it's gone. I've quite enjoyed putting a couple of 3 miles onto it, but the owner can have the pleasure of carry on doing that. In for MOT today. As soon as it's done, I'm going to be ringing the owner, letting him know that it's ready, and I'm sure he'll be in within a day or two to pick it up.